Happy Thanksgiving, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you had a good one. Happy Black Friday. Happy Hate Week. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Southern Fried Gentleman of Southern Fried Sports, joined by a very special guest this evening, Brian Pettit of Tiger Stripes Media. He will be joining us in just one moment. Let me shout out everybody real quick. Greenville Sports Media, the Furman Joust, the Real Fresh Channel, Bodkin Show, all of these guys, man, they all do a great job. They cover every sport you can possibly imagine. If you need a podcast, just join us up on YouTube. Make sure to check us out. I am JD Wyatt at JD Wyatt06 on X. The gentleman joining me is going to be another Clemson fan this week, y'all. Hey, it is rivalry week. Rivalry. I can say it. Been working on that one all week. Rivalry. Rivalry. Got it. Bang. Bang, bang. Let's go, chicken gang. We ready to fight tomorrow. Man, I'm telling you what, we're going to have a great conversation. We got some Southern Fried appetizers and entrees to get into. Let me bring Brian in here. Brian, my good sir, thank you so much for joining us this evening. How are you down there, my friend?
I am doing great. I hope everybody can hear me out here. I'm telling you, this is going to be a crazy week in college football. There's no doubt about it. You got the Georgia Tech game going on actually on the thing, and then you got Clemson, Carolina. You got all the Solanches you can have, and even more. I mean, it's going to be a crazy week already.
Well, and it's already
been a crazy day already.
It's already kicked up. We already saw Colorado. We'll get right into our Southern Fried appetizers here. Since Brian's mentioning them, we'll go right there. Southern Fried appetizers. Consider this your fried pickles, your nachos, whatever you want as an appetizer. Who cares? This is the Southern Fried appetizer version. So we're going to run down them real quick. Colorado absolutely smoked Oklahoma State today. I don't know what Oklahoma State's going to do with Mike Van Gundy. What do you think, Brian? I mean, is he on the hot seat next year for sure? I mean, is he in the hot seat this offseason?
Well, I'll just tell you the truth. Since I've been watching the Oakland, what are they? The
Oklahoma State.
Oregon, is it Oklahoma State? I can't remember them.
Well, there's several OSUs.
Get confused with.
Oh, hold up, Brian. Hold on. Sorry. Hold on. I'm going to mute you down for a minute, Mike. Or Brian, sorry. All right. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I think Brian's having a little technical difficulty there. I'm going to move him backstage for just a moment. It won't let me mute him for some reason. But anyways, we were talking about Colorado, though, smoking Oklahoma State today. Brian, just if you want to log out and log back in, maybe, I don't know what that deal was. Feel free to, though. I don't know. I'll try to add you back maybe in a second. Let me run through these appetizers, though, real quick. They're going to be real short and sweet, like an appetizer should be. So Colorado smoked OSU, Oklahoma State. I don't know what they're going to do with Mike Van Gundy. I think he might be on the hot seat going into the offseason based on some of the comments he made in the offseason about one of his players getting a DUI and just the way they struggled as a program. And NIL, you can make a program from it, or you can absolutely just murder a program from it. As Oklahoma State seen, they obviously transfer portal now. It's all very different. How about, though, Ole Miss, a team that uses NIL and the transfer portal very well? Let's see if we can bring Brian back in here real quick. Brian, you good to go on that end? Can I hear you now?
Yeah.
Okay, there
Yeah,
we
I'm
go.
good.
Yep.
How's that better?
Okay.
Georgia
No,
Tech
yeah.
just scored.
No way. 17-0.
17-0. Hang on, they're waiting on the thing. They're looking at it right now. The guy, it looked like the guy almost stepped out, but he reached for the pylon and he hit the pylon. So
Okay,
they're
so
looking
yeah.
at it right
So,
now.
yeah. That's one of the next appetizers, though, we'll get into. Georgia struggling right now against Georgia Tech. And I was just mentioning NIL and transfer portal. Problem is, Carson Beck got paid, man. Carson Beck got paid. And I think he's dating that twin. His stats have fallen way off Carson Beck. Are they really focused? I mean, all the traffic tickets, they can't even abide by the speed limit. I mean, what is going on with Georgia? They're in the SEC championship game, for Christ's sake. Did they just say they're going to take the weekend off, Brian?
I don't know what they're doing, but this is their scoring drives. If you don't mind, this is their scoring drives. But first possession, they only punted. They only got 7 yards. They had a punt. Second drive, they get 60 yards, 12 plays. They had to go in downs. They went for it on fourth down on that one. Then Georgia, their third one, they had a punt, minus 8 yards. Then the fourth drive, they just had a fumble, and it was only 38 yards. So, that's their drivings. In the last two of Georgia Tech's, they have 2 touchdowns. They drove at 79 yards, 66 yards, and now 63 yards. So, Georgia really hasn't played. If you look some of the stats, Georgia Tech right now, total yards, 307 to Georgia's 97 yards. And that's ridiculous. Let's think about in the beginning of the year, if Clemson played like this, how would Georgia do now?
Right. Well,
So,
and the one thing I will say,
it depends on how.
We did just hear what Lane Kiffin said, though, the other day. Lane Kiffin just the other day was like, man, yeah, we'd rather avoid the championship game possibly and get that bye, get healthy, and then go into the playoffs. Obviously, that was before they lost. But that begs me the question, though. Meaningless game for Georgia. Were they looking ahead to the SEC championship game possibly? Because we know they're in it. This Georgia Tech game's not going to hurt whether or not, and so they can still get into the playoff, being the SEC champion. But you play to win the game, right? Like, this is a fine line to walk. Like, is there any way? I think it's just misfocus, right? It's got to be they're just not focused. It can't possibly be that they're trying to blow it, right?
No, I don't know. Way to Beck's playing. They're not even. If you look at the stats, they're just getting beat physically. Georgia Tech's running all over them with their receipt. With their running game. Georgia Tech just running the ball. And there's 7 seconds left, and this is going to be halftime right here. 17-0 at halftime. And I guess this is what it's going to have to be.
Man, well, we've seen them come back from worse, I guess, at Alabama. And then now we see, though, what Alabama was able to do on the road against Oklahoma. College football has just been pure chaos. All right, and then one more appetizer, and then we're going to move on. We're going to do our entree. I got a special entree planned for everybody here. So, Clinton, Batesburg, Leesville, tied 14-14 at halftime. We mentioned Brian's Greenwood team. I don't know their score. I know they're playing Northwestern. So we'll see if we can get a checkup on that score. We also have Abbeville, though. We thought Abbeville was a shoe-in for the state championship. And they are losing currently 24-20 at halftime. And then we have Gaffney. They are leading TL Hanna 21-0. I think it was the last time I saw it. That could be wrong. Don't quote me on that score. But for all of you here who came for Gamecock talk, as Gamecock Chuck just pops in, Gamecock Chuck, what's up, brother? We are literally fixing to get into our Gamecock talk right now. I tell you what, we're going to take a 30-second pause. We're going to make sure Brian and I can hear, and then we're going to do something that I suggest everybody do every once in a while. All right, y'all hold tight. We'll be right back. All righty, and we are back. And so, Brian, I am going to start this off by saying one of the most important things that I think people need to hear sometimes. Every once in a while, it is okay to take off your garnet glasses. It is okay to take off your Clemson orange or purple glasses, whichever color y'all wear. That would be stupid if I said black sunglasses for Gamecocks, because obviously we're black and garnet, but everybody wears black sunglasses, so I'm not going to tell everybody to take off what protects their eyes. But every once in a while, it's okay to be honest about your team. And that's the goal of what I wanted to bring to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, with myself and Brian, a Clemson fan of Tiger Sports Media. We're going to see if we can have a good conversation about the Gamecock and Clemson game coming up tomorrow. And every once in a while, Brian, can you agree it's good to just take off your fan glasses for a minute, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, an update on the score. Greenwood in the third quarter right now with 10 minutes to go. Northwestern 32, Greenwood nothing. So, yeah, that's what that one is.
Yeah, that one's Northwestern's a tough team. But did you hear the question I asked you, though, about our fan glasses and all that stuff, right?
Wow.
It's okay to take off your orange ones. It's okay to take off your garnet ones.
What now? I heard the.
Yeah, and so what do you think? I mean, is it okay to take off your fan glasses sometimes?
I mean, if you take off your. Yeah, it is. Because the prediction I'm going to give you is pretty crazy because I'm a Clemson fan. And I think it's going to have true effect onto games tomorrow, you know?
Yep. Yeah, and we'll get down to our predictions in a little bit.
I mean, now that I do the media kind of thing, I have to take off the sunglasses.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got to take them off. And I think that's best for all fans. So tomorrow at the game, y'all have a good time. Y'all be safe. Y'all just be nice to one another and just celebrate the rivalry for what it is. And so as that said, we will get down into our breakdowns. So, Brian, my first question for you. Clemson offensive line versus South Carolina defensive line. Who has the advantage? Why? What do you think? Tell me some names. What do you think? And I know Clemson has a lot of offensive line injuries the last few weeks. So you tell me, Clemson offensive line versus South Carolina defensive line.
Well, my thing so far, hang on, let me turn this down because I don't know if anybody can hear it right now.
Yeah, you're clear. You're good.
All right, now okay, my thing is, I mean, if you look at the offense and the defense, and I got their depth chart right now. If you look at their depth charts, the only concern for the defense for South Carolina is that you got these big receivers from Clemson that, I mean, can you stop the offense here? You got TJ Moore, you got Antonio Williams, you got Brian Wesco. That's going to be my concern. And also on that defensive front for that Carolina game. I mean, they're going to get some starters. What it looked like on the offense right now, they have most of their starters back. I mean, what it looked like on their depth chart right now, that You have Tate back. You have Parks back. You have Miller. But here's another guy that you ought to look for. And this is on the defensive side, and then I'll go to jump onto the Carolina. All you got to do is look for these names tomorrow. These are the big defensive line that might have an effect on the South Carolina offense. You got Peter Woods, you got Parks, you got Woodass, you got Barrett Carter, and then a no name here. Let's see if I can find him here. Remember this name, Samuel Brown. He's a guy that on the offensive side, defensive side, he can be a threat. Now, on the defensive side for Carolina, and, I don't know much about the Carolina, but look for the edge rushers for South Carolina's defense. But for the offense, I don't know how many times that I've actually seen South Carolina, the opposing team can get to the quarterback. And that kind of concerns me just a little bit. And, with playing with these big defensive linemen that Clemson has, can they get pressure on the quarterback? And that's the whole thing. If you just look at some of the stats, Georgia's their defensive line right now, their starters on defense, 254, 288, 300, 245. And they weigh 200 pounds. And you look at Clemson's offense, they weigh 300 pounds. All the offensive linemen for Clemson weighs 300 pounds. Can they get to the defense can they push the Carolina defense around? And that's the same way with the Clemson offense with their defense. It's a kind of mix and match who you think could win. Who's going to win in the trenches is what I call it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I was just asking you there, though, about Clemson offensive line and our Carolina defensive line. And Chuck says, Kyle Kennard, Dylan Stewart, linebackers, sideline to sideline speed. Could be a long day for Klubnik if they can't protect him. I honestly, I want to see us rush with lane integrity. To his point, that's what I was going to say about it. I don't want to see Stewart and Kennard jumping way up the field. I don't want to see the linebackers backed way off, giving Cade Klubnik room to run underneath, because we've seen when Cade can start gaining that 10 to 15 yards, he going to gain the 40 to the 50. Honestly, we saw him do it to win the game not long ago. And then we got Gamecock Chuck in here again. He says Lenoris isn't going to hang in the pocket. There will be some design QB runs, and they will roll Sellers out of the pocket. I hope we see that kind of chess.
Agree. I agree with it.
I hope we do. I really do. I don't want to see a blowout either way. I want to see both teams play their best game. And just like with the Harbaughs did, this was the best example I thought of the other night. The way that Jim and John played each other in that Harbaugh Bowl Monday night, it was literally just like lining up unless whoever has the best talent wins. That's what it felt like to me. And so as a Gamecock fan that can respect Clemson fans, I hope that's the same way. Honestly, the Gamecocks have had 24 sacks their first 8 games. They've only had 3 their last 3 games, if I remember right on that stat. It went from a lot of sacks to a little. And so I'm a little bit worried about that. How about, I know you mentioned some of Clemson wide receivers, but, bro, do you really think that they can line up with Carolina's defensive backs? DQ Smith, Eamon Worry, Fortune, Collier. Hopefully Collier goes. I know he's been hurt. I don't know if Collier's done. But really, I know Clemson's got some receivers. Shout out TJ Moore, Alexander Moore, fan of the show. Alexander's been up in here when I had Susan Lloyd on before. But seriously, South Carolina's defensive backs against Clemson wide receivers. Come on.
I'm looking at some of the, hang on. 6'2", 11, yeah. I'm just looking at some of the. I think they could. I think it's going to be a 50-50 ball both ways. South Carolina can do it. I don't know if. I don't know if Clemson. I don't know. It depends on how it. Because I've seen some games where Carolina has, and both sides. I'm not going to disagree, but both sides play them. I don't understand it. If you got good receivers, you play them 10 yards off the field or 5. I don't understand that. Both teams do it constantly, and that's just the way it is. But if it was the receivers, and I'll tell you this, and I'm not trying to be one of those people that just goes out there. If Wesco gets loose and he can run it down, then he's going to be the playmaker. Williams too. If he does what he's been doing all year, and Wesco is just a freshman, and Randall can even play. They got him listed too as the plan. So, but I think the defense, if they can stop them, then that will be the key for the defense on South Carolina is to stop the 3 playmakers, and they have to get Klubnik rattled. I mean, straight up, that's how it's going to be. Because after that, there's nothing there. And also, keep an eye, and I just saw this a while ago. Keep an eye on Moffa. If he's not playing good, they might bring in that Adams guy. Or, let's see, who is that guy? I forget his name. Yeah, Haynes. Because he played last week, and he overpowered Moffa. Let's see how they do. But I think they can handle with him. I think their defense can handle with him.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so, a lot of people made a lot of noise about how many rushing yards that Clemson gave up to the Citadel last week. And we do know that the Citadel runs the triple option. So was that much ado about nothing, though, you think, as far as it goes against Clemson's rush defense versus Rocket Sanders, Attaway, Lenoris, Harbor even maybe getting a reverse or something? You think the rush defense for Clemson can stand up?
Say that again, because something was playing in the background. I don't know where the background was coming from. Say that again.
Oh, no, you're good. No, you're good. So with what you were saying, though, with Clemson's rush defense, do you think that they can – everybody made a lot of ado about 286 yards against the Citadel last week. Obviously, Citadel runs a triple option, so it's not something you see very often. Was that much ado about nothing as far as it goes, competing and stopping Rocket Sanders, Lenore Sanders, Attaway, maybe those reverses or whatever to Mazio or whomever in the backfield? Is Clemson's rush defense going to be okay after giving up 286 yards last week to the Citadel?
Can Clemson rush on the Carolina defense?
No, vice versa. Vice versa.
Really depends.
No, vice versa.
I think, let's just say this. What you're talking about, I don't know if the defense. Yeah, the vice versa. Yeah.
I was talking about. I was talking about Gamecocks against Clemson's defense.
The defense has been sketchy all year for Clemson. Yeah, they've been sketchy all year long. They can't stop the run. If they run on the left side of the ball, then, their left side of the ball, Carolina wins. They can run it all day, but not been the same on the option plays. But if Carolina runs the option and reverses, I think Carolina can win that one, because that's what I think on the defensive side of Carolina.
Right.
Then
hopefully
how it is.
Right. You cut in a little bit there a couple of times. But yeah, as far as these positional breakdowns, though, I'll give the check mark to Carolina's defensive line. I'll give the check mark to Carolina's defensive backs. How about coach to coach? Who would you take right now, Dabo or Shane? If one game You just need to go
Dabo
win
versus Shane Beamer.
right now. If you need to go win one college football playoff game, who you take?
Hold on, I'm gonna do something real quick. Hang on 1 second.
I know the obvious answer
right,
to a lot of people though would
Hold
be.
on.
Oh no, you're good. No, I'm just gonna talk while you're doing what you're doing. I think the obvious answer for a lot of people would be Dabo.
All right, hang on.
But honestly, this year, I know Shane's wrecked us in a few places, but I don't know. I don't know which one. If say one of these teams make it into the playoffs, I don't know which one I'd take right now. If taking glasses fully off, I would take Shane over Dabo, maybe.
Well, when we were talking this afternoon, you told me that we would go over the coaching. Here's my thing. I would take I'd take Dabo as the head coach, take South Carolina's offense, and probably take South Carolina's defense, but take Clemson's linebacker coach, and then I'd take the South Carolina kicking coach. That's how I would manage the team right there, and you have a hell of a team. Because
oh yeah, absolutely.
That would be totally. You'd have to take, I don't know. Beamer could coach the wide receivers, but I think it would be a crazy if you could just put the teams together because it would be a massive. I mean, who would play quarterback? I mean, who would you want? Who would play wide receivers? With all the receivers that Clemson and Carolina has, who are you going to mix and match in the defense? I mean, it would be crazy if we could just put both teams together and see what we could come up with, with the different kind of players or the quarterbacks, what this team can actually do,
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, and that's very true. I mean, that's one of the things about this state. Well, and I mean, most of them do have it. That's why it's rivalry week because, I mean, even think about the talent that Auburn and Alabama split, or Mississippi State and Ole Miss, or Texas and Texas A&M and Texas Christian and Baylor and Oklahoma right up the road. I mean, it's so wild though, the parity that has had, an effect this year in college football and in the SEC. But that's all. Yeah, we went off on a tangent. You stoked something there in my mind when you said that because, yeah, I mean, right now, even Gamecock.
All right, I guess he lost connection here. Gamecock Chuck said Dabo because of the playoff experience. He must have to. Oh, there you are. You back now?
Yeah, no, I'm back. I don't know. Dude, I was trying to scroll over to show Gamecock Chuck's comment, and I completely swiped everything away, I guess. But even Gamecock Chuck says he would take Dabo because of playoff experience. And I think that's what Shane has shown, though, in a few of the games this year. And I think he's learned now he doesn't have to be so aggressive. Because think back to a couple of the LSU plays, a couple of the Alabama plays, he went too over aggressive. And then, though, in that LSU same game, they went over conservative, going up 17-0. Like when they get big leads, they go over conservative. So I'm really concerned about the coaching though for tomorrow. That's what all of that boils down to. Again, Chuck, thank you for being here. Brian Pettit of Tiger Stripes Media joining the Southern Fried Gentleman on Southern Fried Sports. Great conversation so far. So I got one more positional breakdown, Brian. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Special teams versus special teams.
Okay, and I thought about this for a long time today because after we talked today, and this is what I came up with. Do Clemson and Carolina, and for chat, this is for everybody chat. Let's say it doesn't matter. If you had a perfect line of your offense, or perfect line, can you trust each kicker kicking a last-second field goal from 35 to 50 yards field goal? That's the question. If the line holds up for any team, do you trust the kickers?
Hey, and I'll tell you
That's
what.
all it points.
So I would be pretty comfortable 35 to 40. So let's back it up. Let's say 40 to 50 yards.
Yeah.
Would you be comfortable with Mitch Jeter, or who is the kicker for Clemson?
The kicker is, let me find it. Hang on. Adam Swanson or something like that. So,
well, the fact that you just said or something like that leads me to believe that you do not have very much faith in him.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. Gamecock Chuck says he will take SC special teams hands down. Clemson has had 6 blocked field goals, and then he also says he'll take Mitch Jeter. Or no, he says Mitch Jeter don't kick for SC. My bad. Tell me the name. Alex Herrera. Thank you. Mitch Jeter kicks for Notre Dame. Thank you, Gamecock Chuck. Hey, that's why I need people like you here to make sure to
exactly right.
And that's right.
Oh yeah,
keep me on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, I mean, can you trust your kickers? I mean, kick it from 45. Let's say it comes down to a 50-yard field goal. Can we trust any line to kick a 50-yarder?
I don't trust Alex Herrera anything more. Thank you again, though, Gamecock Chuck, for correcting me. Thank you. Mitch Jeter transferred. It's Alex Herrera. But yeah, no, I wouldn't. 45 or more, 40 or more, honestly. 40. So I would put it under 40, 85%, 90%, something like that.
Yeah.
Under 45, I would go 65 to 70%. And above 45 to 52 or whatever his range is, I would go 30%.
Yeah, he has.
You need a clutch kicker.
Yeah, I've seen some misses from Clemson and Carolina this year that have been bonkers. Like, oh yeah, Georgia just missed a field goal before going into halftime. So it's the kicker's day.
Yep. Oh, well, I mean, so much pressure. The kickers aren't the one on the team getting all the NIL in the world. I do remember, though, how about Rocket Sanders before he scored that touchdown against Missouri? He told the kicker, he said, don't even warm up, bro. He's like, we good. We got this. I'm about to go score.
I guess that's confidence.
Confidence. And, hey, if you're confident and right, I'm good with it.
Yeah, somebody told me, hey, we're confident we're not going to kick the ball today. I'll be like, okay, what's the deal here?
Right. But either we about to whack somebody or we about to get shut out.
Exactly. You know, I don't want it to be a blowout game either at all. I don't want it to be a blowout. I want it to be a good game where we can feel better about ourselves and it is what it is. I mean,
right.
And here's another thing is, I mean, let's say this game, let's say both Clemson and Carolina were in the playoff. Okay, in a win or lose. Can you imagine if both teams were in the playoffs and we had to root against somebody that we really do hate, like Ohio State or some other team that we disgusted and just going, okay, we got to get this team. We know we're in, or both Clemson and Carolina are in the, in the championship game or something. Can you just imagine that we had to pull for some other team like this? It's going to be crazy.
And I'm such a college football fan that I think I would do that. If neither one of these teams do make the playoffs, I mean, I don't know who I would root for at this moment, because at this particular moment, y'all, seriously, and this is so we're fixing to make predictions. Brian and I, we're going to make our prediction. Final score predictions coming up as soon as I say this. And I told my mom this earlier, y'all. I want it to be a nerve-wracking game. I do. I mean, it's my, and that's me without my goggles on, obviously, which is like I told y'all, we're going to talk to you without our goggles on this evening. If I put my goggles on, I'd say I want to smoke them. Get out of here, lose by 50. I don't care. But as me, as a person, rooting for a little cousin on the team, having family, we just want the best for everybody here at Southern Fried Sports. That's why I am the Southern Fried Gentleman. I'm here to bring you a unique take. And that's why we bring Brian on. That's why I don't mind talking Clemson football. Now, do I hate some of the things that Dabo Swinney says sometimes? Yes, absolutely. Brian, even over there shaking his head. Yes, he does too. And Shane, breaking your foot on a cooler. I haven't forgotten that either, bro. Like, I haven't forgotten. All right. So we've all got demons to kill tomorrow. We all have something in the state of South Carolina. There is nothing more important than the rivalry between South Carolina and Clemson. We don't have a professional football team here in South Carolina. This is what it's all about. So, with all of that said, ladies and gentlemen, I am a Gamecock through and through. But thoroughly, right now, I believe that Clemson beats us tomorrow in a heartbreaking fashion, just like Alabama did, 31-28. Clemson ekes out the win. They make it on to the playoffs at an at-large bid because Miami will not lose to Syracuse. So Clemson breaks our hearts. We do not make it into the college football playoff. That is my prediction for tomorrow. Bryant, your turn, sir.
All right, now my prediction. And this is what my keys are going to go down. And I'm going to go to Clemson because you're going to go, what is he picking? Who's he going to pick? And you'll be surprised. And then you'll hear my score. If Sellers gets loose, Carolina wins. If Klubnik gets loose and passes the ball, Moffitt gets busy, it's going to be a long day for Carolina. But here's my thing. I think it's going to be Carolina 25, Clemson 28. And South Carolina wins in Clemson. I think it'll be close in the third quarter, all the way until about the fourth quarter. And about the mid of fourth quarter, Carolina takes over and wins the game. I think it'll be a late touchdown, and Carolina wins over Clemson. So that was my score.
That is too funny you said that. So, Gamecock Chuck, we were just talking about field goal kickers, though, and such. And we were talking about if the field goal kicker would win us the game or not. And I said they wouldn't. And so he said, so that with my score prediction, 31-28, and you just said it, Brian, a late touchdown. And so, Gamecock Chuck, I'm not going with the field goal kicker technically beating us. I'm going with the Gamecocks being up 28-24 late in the game, and Cade Klubnik goes on a long run and breaks our heart just like he did to Pittsburgh. That is my final prediction. When it all comes down to it, let me tell you how little of a chance I have it being right. Hopefully 0. Because as a Gamecock, like I said, I do not want it to come down to that. I hope they keep Cade contained. But here we are, different sides of the fence. I think we're both trying that reverse psychology thing, Brian. What you doing the same thing I'm doing? Because that's me. I'm reverse psychology all the way.
I've been saying for about weeks. I even told my dad, and my dad's dating a South Carolina fan, and I told her, I was like, hey, I think Carolina's going to win. And I do think that, if Clemson does win, they win. Congratulate to them. But I don't have way they've been looking. I don't see how Clemson could beat a South Carolina team that's rolling right now. And
right.
But it just comes down to, and also and we can see this in the last, just like the Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's is beating them right now. Georgia can't even drive on Georgia Tech, and they're missing passes. They're missing runs. I mean, it depends on how the momentum of the game, and also think about this tomorrow. You take the crowd out of the game to win it, just like they did years ago when they had Spencer Rattler take the fans out. If the fans stay in and make a showing, Clemson wins. If you take them out, they win.
Right, so, absolutely. I think it's going to be a very nerve-wracking game for all of us. I really do. Now, listen, like I said, sometimes I will take off my garnet glasses, but sometimes if I put them on, I honestly think that South Carolina is playing the best football of both teams right now. I would have rather not gotten off to that slow start against Wofford a few weeks ago, and I would much rather us have had more sacks in the last few games. So I'm just concerned a little bit about the defense and all of that stuff. Brian, though, he just mentioned the Georgia and Georgia Tech game again. I picked Vandy to cause the chaos over Tennessee. That's another rivalry matchup. Who else do we got playing rivalry-wise this week? Like real rivalry. We mentioned Texas A&M, Miami, Syracuse, not a rivalry. Of course, Michigan, Ohio State. I mean, Michigan doesn't have a chance, right?
No. My only concern, my thing is, let me pull this up here. I'll tell you another game that's kind of interesting is what I think it's going to be Tennessee against Vanderbilt. That's going to be a crucial game. And it's going to be cold. It's at Vandy. And Vandy's put up some points. Don't forget who they beat this year. Right. And what is Tennessee playing?
They're in, right? Yeah, and it's going to be touch and go.
Oh yeah, it's going to be cold. It's going to be cold in Nashville, and that's what some of the sportscasters were talking about. How cold it's going to be, So it's going to be cold. It's going to be cold.
Facts.
I think Vanderbilt can pull it out.
I do too. I really do.
And I think they'll win by. I think they'll win by 7. I think it'll be late in the fourth quarter. Vandy will score pretty late.
Brian, all we got to do now though is go get a good night's rest and hope that everything comes true tomorrow. Gamecock Chuck, let me get one more comment in. He said he hopes it's not a nerve-wracking game. He feels like whoever wins between Clemson and South Carolina will win between 10 and 13 points. So he thinks it might get out of reach there at the end. That's the way I would like to think. I'm so timid as a Gamecock fan. But hey, everybody, make sure, listen, y'all go follow Brian on Twitter, X. Brian, where can they find you? You tell them what's up, and then I'm gonna remove you backstage after that, and then we're gonna kick rocks on out of here, brother.
They can find me on Twitch at twitch.com, or they can just find me on Brian Pettit 3rd on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter. It's even better. It's I'll have to do some more things because I ain't got my links up yet.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, I know it's at BPTTIT34 on X.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep. Y'all go hit him a follow over there, and then we'll get you all the other links. Brian, though, hey man, go Clemson, go Gamecocks. You have yourself a blessed evening. I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for joining me, and then I'm about to get on out of here after this.
Yep, get a good night's sleep, and go Cox, go Tigers, and may the best team win tomorrow. And we're going to fight it out to the valley.
Absolutely,
it's going to get crazy.
Absolutely, let's fight it out. Best team win. Let's not cause anybody any heart attacks. Brian, you be blessed, not stressed. We'll see you soon, brother.
I got one last thing, JD.
Yeah,
are you going to come on? Are you going to come on at halftime, and then we can talk strategy? Are you going to come on tomorrow? Because I'll do that tomorrow with you on the halftime.
Well, no, I usually wait till after the game. So tomorrow I'll probably do like a full reaction later in the day if I do anything.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I'll let you know for sure though. I'll let you know what's up.
All right.
I might can do a quick something on the phone. Who knows?
All right,
brother.
talk to you later.
Yes, sir. Thank you for being here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Brian Pettit of Tiger Stripes Media. Y'all go check him out. I just told you his link on Twitter. Don't forget to hit like on the episode. We are going to have a fantastic day tomorrow, okay? Whoever wins, bragging rights for a year. That just means I'll have to hang up all my Carolina Gamecock gear until bowl day, and then it'll be put up again for the rest of the year. Unless I'm rooting for Dawn Staley and the women's basketball team, or Lamont Paris and the men's basketball team, which I will do. And baseball. Yeah, big baseball guy. We'll be all into it here on Southern Fried Sports. So again, thank you though, Chuck, for being here. Thank you for correcting me, keeping me straight. Appreciate that, brother. Brian, thank you for being here. As for now, though, let's go get our sleep, watch the rest of this football tonight. Tons of crazy things going on in the sports world. Y'all be blessed, not stressed. Be kind to one another tomorrow, dang it, or I'll punch you in the face. Y'all have a blessed evening. We out here. Night, night.